Twitch coming online. YouTube, you should be coming up here in just a little bit. It is, what is it, Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. Been a very busy day around here. Lots of folks asking what is going on and what we can expect into the course of the next couple of days. That is where we are really concentrating on what's going to be happening, because we've got a new hurricane in the Gulf. We did not have that last night. We are going to be seeing that as a potential threat to us here in the after effect. We're not going to be getting too much of anything in the way of a direct hit from a hurricane, but it is possible that this storm Helene could be a hurricane after it moves on shore between the Gulf Coast, Florida, and up toward Atlanta, Georgia. And that's going to have a pretty big impact from what we are looking at here. So we will be talking a lot about that coming up here in just a little bit. If you've never been here before, welcome to the show. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek, keeping you updated with what is going on with the possibility of heavy weather in the area. For tonight, it is Wednesday, the 25th of September. Just checking audio for right now. Again, we are live and direct on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, if you absolutely must, anything like that, go ahead and give us a shout, and we'll be glad to see where you're from, what you've been doing, where you're checking in from. Again, this is our opportunity to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the weather situation. A good opportunity for people to ask questions about what's going on. We may not be able to answer your questions directly, but we will do our best to give you an idea as to what may be happening through the course of the next couple of days as we see this next storm system get a little bit closer to us. So stay tuned. We'll cover a lot of data coming up here in just a little bit, so stay tuned again for more. Heading off to the classroom in the morning, a good possibility you will need some rain protection, not only to school, but from school once again, and temperatures basically in the lower to mid 70s. So it's going to be mild, but it's not going to be overly hot from what we usually could see. We were at a record high temperature on Monday, 96. Not going to be seeing that this time around, but it is still going to be on the warm side out there for the rest of the course of the evening and into overnight. Downtown, pretty quiet, 70 degrees at the airport. You can view more of our cameras like the Bailey's Heating and Air camera from downtown on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Temperatures again at the airport right before the top of the hour. We are back into the lower 70s. Winds light out of the southeast at about 3 miles per hour. Temperatures still on the warm side out across the area. Scottsboro, you can take your thermometer out of the oven. It's done. 60s and a few 70s, so a mild and decently sultry evening. We've had a number of showers and thunderstorms out there, and we'll continue to see the potential of some more activity through the rest of the evening. So this could be a bit of a problem out there. Excuse me 1 second here. Make certain this is plugged in. Probably sounded... Let's try that again. Okay, testing 1, 2. Probably sounded like I was talking through a coffee can. Apologies for that. I should have been keeping track of my microphones. I knew I was forgetting something here, so I wanted to make certain that everybody can hear properly on this. Again, if you're just tuning in, it is Wednesday night, keeping you updated on the forecast. Temperatures across the region back into the mid to upper 60s to the lower to mid 70s. Dew point temperatures have been a little bit warmer, again, close to 70 degrees and remaining there. So for the next few hours, we'll continue to see some pretty heavy amounts of humidity across the area. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll get to the extracurricular stuff here in just a little bit. The big picture, what we have for right now is an actual front that is draped across the region, and that is where we see the front starting to change from a cold front to a stationary front, so it's running out of energy. The main energy of the storm system is way up to the north of us over between the Great Lakes and Hudson Bay, and this cold front is stretched behind, but there's really not much of anything pushing it forward. So we do have a good portion of showers and thunderstorms east of this front into the Carolinas and northern Georgia. We may see the potential of some more showers on the western side of this front tonight, but I think that is going to be relatively limited. So for right now, this is the cause of the rain that we are seeing. The game between the Braves and the Mets got postponed tonight until Monday, if I'm not mistaken, and a doubleheader possible on that. So we do see more potential of rain and showers and thunderstorms east of this front than west, but I would not be surprised to hear anything in the way of some rumbles of thunder coming up as we go into the course of the rest of the evening tonight. And then as we get into the next few days, a lot of changes coming up. Of course, if you haven't heard anything about the forecast, we are seeing the problems well on down. And let me get this. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, the big weather story of the day is, of course, Helene, way on down into the Gulf of Mexico. It is now leaving the Caribbean between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. It is, as of this time, still a Category 1 hurricane. So it is, again, it has a long way to go. But there are some troubling signs at this point as we see the potential of this storm system really starting to catch fire into the next couple of days. So the storm itself is a healthy Category 1 hurricane. Winds 85 miles an hour, gusts up to 105 miles per hour, and again, just into the area around the Gulf of Mexico. So that is where we are looking at the possibility of this storm really starting to blossom into the next couple of days. And that is some very worrisome potential out there for right now. And here's a very good reason for that. The temperatures of the Gulf, high 80s, and there are some places out there that are over 90 degrees, including right around the loop current, which is a substantial transporter of heat from the Gulf to the Atlantic, and that is where we could see the system really start to blossom here in about the next several hours. Now, in the last few hours, we did have one hurricane hunter in the storm. It looks like in the last few hours they have made their last update, and it looks like, well, this should be, let me just make certain of this. They looks like they're still in the storm at this point. Yeah, as of right now, they are still in the storm, but they will be heading out of the storm relatively soon. So not seeing any updates from the National Hurricane Center in regards to this situation. So not seeing anything that says that we are seeing an upgrade just yet. But according to the National Hurricane Center, Helene is expected to be a major hurricane that's Category 3 and above as we go into tomorrow. So if you're planning on traveling to the Gulf Coast, we'll talk about that coming up here in just a second. Let's take a look at the path of this storm first before we go too much farther on here. Again, as a Category 1 for tonight, by the time we hit tomorrow evening, it's more than likely going to wind up being a Category 2 storm. That's at about 6 o'clock in the evening on Thursday. We were having some errors with this system earlier. By 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday, this is where it really starts to get stronger. Again, a Category 2 in the next 18 hours. By 36 hours, this is expected to become a Category 4 hurricane, according to this computer model run. And that is where we're looking at this big swirl of energy taking place here that's going to deliver a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and some very dangerous conditions. So now let's go forward in time a little bit more. This system should be making landfall somewhere right around the area of Friday afternoon and evening, or pardon me, around, see, we got some different time frames on here. I don't know exactly what's going on, but this is something that we really need to get taken care of here. Hang on just 2 seconds. Maybe that'll take care of it. Nope. Okay, well, sorry about that. We're having, what we're looking at for right here is the fact that we've got 6 a.m. Friday, and then for some reason this says by 2 a.m. Friday. This makes no sense here, but again, this is where the storm should be making landfall, and then around we're gonna have to check out the times on that, because that should not be happening right there. Okay, either way, the general idea at this point is by the time this system heads up over the area very early, this timestamp should be correct. So this storm could still be, if it's very strong moving onshore, it could have enough oomph left over to become a Category 1 storm somewhere between the Florida Panhandle and Atlanta. This could still be a Category 1 hurricane while it's onshore. It has enough energy to draw in moisture and instability from the Gulf and the Atlantic, and then that puts it very close to us as we go into and around early Friday morning. So Friday, right before rush hour, is where we see this system just south of the area, and by the time we get into Friday afternoon, it looks like this is going to be devolving into what looks to be still a tropical storm. So winds of 39 miles per hour plus, sustained winds of 39 miles per hour plus. This is where we may see the problems coming into our area with windy, rainy conditions on here. And then, if everything works, as we go from Friday into around Saturday, what's left of Helene just hovers around the Mississippi River Valley into the weekend, and it wanders around somewhere here. So it will continue to be fairly breezy, winds with showers and thunderstorms possible into the rest of the weekend, but diminishing as this system just sort of hovers around the mid-Mississippi Valley. So that is the time frame that we have for right now. We'll take another look at the maps coming up here in just a little bit. Now, let's take a look and see what's going on with the current advisories out there. We have numerous warnings and watches up, mainly for the area into and around Florida, from the Keys all the way up now into the Carolinas. Hurricane warnings in effect right off the western coast of Florida. Tropical storm warnings offshore for the Florida Panhandle. Inland, a hurricane warning continues for southern Georgia and back down into around the Panhandle of Florida. Meanwhile, farther north, this is something we don't see too often, and this is something that I want to make certain that everybody is paying attention to here, because a tropical storm warning is in effect now for basically all of the state of Georgia north of the Panhandle of Florida. So a tropical storm warning means that tropical storm conditions are expected within about a 24 to 36 hour period. So by this time tomorrow night, going into Friday morning, this is where we could see, again, the potential of tropical storm conditions in and around this area. Now, this has been issued by the National Weather Service in Peachtree City, Georgia, and then back over into the Carolinas. We do not have anything for northeast Alabama or southeast Tennessee when it comes to tropical storm warnings. In essence, this here in the orange-shaded counties is going to be the worst of the worst activity. So anything east of I-59 in Alabama through northern Georgia, back down toward Atlanta into the Carolinas, this will be the heaviest wind. This will be the heaviest amount of rainfall. This is again going to be the worst of the worst activity taking place. We do have, again, a couple of advisories to talk about. We have a wind advisory for northeastern Alabama. Winds here are going to be 10 to 20 miles per hour out of the northwest. Again, the wind coming around the backside of that system here. Wind gusts of 40 miles per hour for Jackson and DeKalb counties in Alabama. We also have a high wind watch, which remains in effect for southeastern Tennessee. And that, again, will be for winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour. But wind gusts in the lower elevation could be around 50 miles per hour. And in the higher elevations, 70 mile per hour wind gusts are not out of the question. So that includes Hamilton County and in and around southeast Tennessee, around Chattanooga. We do not have anything just yet from the National Weather Service in Peachtree City, but the tropical storm warning pretty much covers that, likewise for parts of the Carolinas. Now, looking a little farther over to the east, this blue strip has been added. That is a high wind warning. So that is in effect to, again, the potential for Polk and Monroe counties in the News 12 viewing area up against the North Carolina state line. And that, again, for even higher wind gusts possible in those higher elevations. So these advisories will continue for the foreseeable future. So again, something to consider. This one, at least for this strip here in the high wind warning, will continue until 8 o'clock Eastern time on Friday evening. So travel for Friday night football is going to be interesting, to say the least, possibly dangerous, maybe even a little sloppy travel out there. Now let's time out the winds, the wind gusts. This is wind gusts, not sustained winds. So as we get into Friday afternoon and evening, or Thursday afternoon and evening, temperatures not bad and some very mild conditions with the winds in the teens, so a little breezy but not bad. Thursday night into Friday morning, we start to see those heavier winds approach, and they really start to move into the area Friday morning around 3 a.m. And some of those wind gusts are pushing 50 miles per hour. The core of the storm, as it gets up this direction, will be moving through this area. Whether or not it's directly over Chattanooga or off to the east, that really doesn't matter. The fact is that the leftover core of what will be a major hurricane. It will not be a major hurricane when it arrives. It'll be a leftover system, tropical storm, tropical depression, but it will not be a hurricane. I've been seeing a lot of comments on social media, including on Reddit r/Chattanooga, about people saying this is going to be a hurricane when it arrives. No, it is not. It is not going to be a hurricane. It's going to be windy. It's going to be a very big weather maker for us, but for right now, these wind speeds are not indicative of hurricane strength. That would be 74 miles per hour plus. That's not happening. But this could break limbs off of trees. This could scatter garbage into the roadways. This could cause power outages in the semi-near future. So Thursday night, going to bed, I would get your phone charged and ready to go just in case. And again, make certain you have a go bag ready just in case you need to get to a shelter of some sort. There is no threat for severe weather, according to the National Storm Prediction Center. But here's the thing about these systems. The winds on the core side of this interior part of the storm move a lot faster than the winds inside around the outside corner of the storm. So in here very quickly, but inside the outer portion of the storm, they move a lot slower, which means the difference between those wind speeds could create spin, and we could see a non-zero tornado threat. It's not zero, it's not a major threat, but with a system like this, I think we should be prepared for possible tornado warnings, and I think that is a very important thing to remember. It's very much time to be weather aware and to keep an eye as to what's going on with what's happening with the forecast. Now, that's Friday morning. By the time the system heads up and away from us, we should be losing a lot of the punch of this storm, but enough core of the system remains to where we could see very easily wind gusts of around 20 to 40 miles per hour at times, approaching noon on Friday, and then continued windy into dismissal time. If there's probably going to be still schools going on out there, but it's going to be windy, it's going to be wet, and then the rain and the wind should diminish right about in time for Friday night football. But the problem is, if this storm slows down even just a little bit, that could be a very big problem as the system sticks around and gives us the potential for more rain and wind. So the school officials and the officials of the contest, the games out there, whatever you've got going on, Friday afternoon and evening, that is something I think is going to have to really be paid attention to out there. Now, while I'm talking about this, I should mention one thing here very quickly, and that is, if you would like to keep up to date with what's going on with the closings, this is the information that we have so far. Some schools are closing down as of tonight. I'm supposed to be at Brentwood Elementary in Dalton, Georgia tomorrow. but that's not happening. So we'll have to reschedule with the teachers there to make certain that I'm able to go down and talk weather at some other time. This is just the list that we have as of 10 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday, but please check back if you're a school official. There's a way to get everything updated here, but again, we are getting a lot more in the way of cancellations and closings, so please check our website, wdef.com/weather, to find out more about what is going on out there in regards to closings and or possible delays. So very important to know about this. I'm glad that Dalton City Schools did this earlier, so I didn't wind up in Dalton tomorrow with no place to go. So again, this is something to really pay attention to also for travel purposes. And again, this is at our website at wdef.com/weather. Now, how about rain? That is also a very good possibility out there because as of right now, we have a flood watch in effect for all of the News 12 viewing area minus Grundy County in Tennessee. Grundy County, you're not expected to get that much more in the way of rainfall. The heaviest rainfall across much of the rest of the News 12 viewing area. So how much are we talking about? Let me see if I can find the day 5 forecast back here because that gave us a better idea as to what was going on. So for right now, the number's reduced a little bit in the next few days, 3 to 5 inches between here and Atlanta, but over portions of the area into western North Carolina and northeastern areas of close to north and east of Chattanooga. That is where we may see the potential of the heaviest amount of rainfall out there. So this is something that we are really going to be taking a look at. 6 to 10 inches plus of rainfall in parts of the Appalachians from northeast Georgia back up through the Carolinas. This is where we could be looking at the worst of the worst potential of both rain and flash flooding taking place. So northeast of Atlanta all the way up to around, say, Asheville, west of the Charlotte area. Anything between there, Knoxville and Chattanooga in the highest elevations, that is where we're looking at the worst potential of rainfall. Also down toward the Gulf Coast in the next couple of days. That little strip right there could be about 10 inches plus, and right from Pensacola down out in the middle of the Gulf, we could be seeing a whopper amount of rainfall out of this. Some of this making its way on shore could cause some big problems with flooding as that rain washes out to sea from that point in time. But for us, we are seeing more chances of rain in and around the Tennessee River Valley, mainly to the east of Chattanooga. So that is where we're going to have to watch and see what we might be winding up with. Please remember, excuse me, turn around, don't drown, find another way to get to where you're going. That is going to be one of the best things you can possibly do out there. All right, again, timing out the storm, what we have right now is just this area stretched out cold front, which is basically falling apart. That'll be sticking around through tomorrow, but I think tomorrow morning we may see some showers and thunderstorms out there. Better chances into tomorrow afternoon. And then Friday morning, the core of the storm, what's left over, arrives toward our south. The solid marker right there filled in, that's a hurricane. So by midnight, the storm is onshore as a hurricane. By the time we hit about 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, the storm remains onshore, heading north as a tropical storm, moving through the area, and then it diminishes to an area of low pressure or a tropical depression, and then eventually just a leftover storm system that hovers back to our west. But there will be enough strength in this to stir up some more chances of showers and thunderstorms coming up. So this is, again, something that we really do need to watch out for. Now, severe weather purposes for tonight, back to the east of us, from the Carolinas, the Virginias, down to the Gulf Coast, a marginal threat of severe weather. We see that threat really impact the areas southeast of us. If you imagine a clock, 12, 3, 6, 9, the area between 12 and 3 o'clock, that is the worst area for wind and rainfall. So in this area, that is where we could see the possibility of a pretty good amount of severe weather, excuse me, from South Carolina into coastal Georgia as we go into Thursday, and then that threat diminishes but lifts back up to the north as a marginal threat on Friday. So far, yes, thunderstorms for us. but then looking at less in the way of drier weather anytime soon, and we really could use the rainfall on that for the next couple of days. A good soaking would be good, hopefully not all at once. We managed to pick up just almost a half an inch of rainfall today, so that helped a little bit, but that means we're still behind for the month by over 2.5 inches and just shy of 11 inches behind for the year. We've got about, give or take, 10 weeks left in the year, so we need at this point in time about an inch per week just to end the year on an even, we didn't get a surplus or a deficit note. That's where we are right now. We are that dry, and that's where this latest storm system could really come in handy, and that is something that we are really going to have to watch at this time for flash flooding purposes. So again, please remember, turn around, don't drown, find another way to get to where you're going. That again is, you really want to stay out of trouble with that. If the road disappears in front of you while you're driving, not the best place to be at that point in time. So something to consider. Safety first, safety always at this time of the year. Please keep it tuned to News 12, and we'll have more details on that coming up here in just a little bit. All right, 7-day forecast, and this is going to be very crowded. Island Cove Marina and Resort, the calm before the storm, clouds above, placid waters of Lake Chickamauga below on the Island Cove Marina and Resort camera. Into the next couple of days, we've got a lot going on. So we have the tropical storm warning. We have the high wind watch, and now the high wind warning taking place. We also have the flood watch, so starting on Thursday, especially Thursday evening into Friday morning dawn patrol, that'll be the best chance of rain and heavy winds out there. Could be a little breezy into Saturday. Rain chances will diminish. It depends on how long what's left of Helene sticks around back to our west. If Helene sticks around through the weekend, we'll see more chances of showers and thunderstorms. If it gets shoved out of the way by some atmospheric trend out there, we may see less rainfall going into early next week, but it is still going to be possible that we see those showers and thunderstorms at least through the weekend on a limited basis. Again, this is not a hurricane that is going to be heading our way. It's going to be a leftover storm, tropical storm or tropical depression. It will not be a hurricane. Winds of 74 miles per hour not expected out of this. So heavy rain, gusty winds, possibly damaging at times, yes. Maybe a minimal threat of severe weather, yes. Hurricane force, no. That is not going to be going on. Cooling off into next week, maybe some high temperatures in the high 70s to low temperatures in the 50s. That's as cool as we've seen around here for quite some time. And that would be very nice to be able to get the jacket back out of the closet, if at all possible. So we'll see how well that works as we go into next week. I remember going to my troop back in Topeka, Kansas, Boy Scout troop, going to Shiloh National Military Park, and apparently the night was something like this. A lot of sun and a lot of moon and a few clouds out there, and apparently it was silent that night. No crickets, no wind, very, very still. Quite the night to spend at Shiloh. This view from Chickamauga Battlefield, thank you very much, News 12 viewer Paula Brown, moonlight with some fractured cloud cover. Thank you, Paula Brown from Ringgold, Georgia, for a view of the Chickamauga Battlefield lit up by some nice moonlight out there. That's our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. If you've got pictures, we'd love to see what you're looking at. Send them in to us at pictures@wdef.com. That's the email. Go to our website, wdef.com/photos, and then social media pages. That's where we're also going to see the potential of some, you'd be able to send in your pictures. So please send them in to us as soon as possible. We'd love to see what you're seeing out there. Again, taking a look at our closings and delay list, we have a few up there, about maybe a dozen listed so far, but that may be changing into the course of the next couple of days. So please check back with our website for more on that. Our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day. Last week we talked about thin, weak, rope-like tornadoes and what they were called. Again, they were called rope tornadoes as opposed to spaghetti or just pipsqueak tornadoes. The converse is true. The bigger storms have have nicknames as well. EF5, which is one of the biggest type of storms you can possibly get. What is their nickname? Whopper, Whale, or Wedge? 80% of you voted for the correct answer, Wedge. Thank you very much for participating in our poll of the day, and also again for stopping by our website, wdef.com/vote now. If you'd like to know more, again, please head to our website. We've got news polls, we've got weather polls out there, and we'd love to see what it is that you're thinking out there. So please stop by. Thank you, Friend Roofing, for being our poll of the day. Thanks a lot to Rough Cuts Dog Grooming of Cleveland, Tennessee, for our view of the day there. That is yesterday's picture. Thank you very much, Hannah Stockford in Chattanooga, for a view of the senior Shih Tzu Primrose enjoying a lay-in. You may see tomorrow morning, again, the possibility of more showers and thunderstorms. So for you and the pupper, some rain protection may be necessary, so definitely want to keep that in mind. If you've got a dog picture you'd like to submit, please do so at wdef.com/dogwalk, and your pup could be the next picture of the day for the Rough Cuts Dog Walking Forecast picture of the day as well. A lot of stuff we've talked about here. We've been on for just about a half an hour. Thanks to everybody on Twitch and YouTube for stopping on by. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on this situation. Chip Chapman will have more on the forecast coming up bright and early tomorrow morning. Of course, on our website, on the bottom portion of the screen, wdef.com/weather, if you'd like to find out more there. Questions, concerns, again, complaints, if you absolutely must, aonic@wdef.com. Be great to hear from you if there's anything we can help with. If you've got a story idea, something happening in your neck of the woods, anything that we can cover, great, but please give us as much time in advance as possible. We'd love to see what's happening and maybe be able to cover your events, but we can't do that if we don't know about it. So you can find out more information from our website, wdef.com/weather. For the weather forecast, or just wdef.com for more of our website. That'll do it for tonight. Again, a lot of changes taking place in just the next 12 hours alone. We could be looking at a Category 3 or higher hurricane by this time tomorrow night. So something, again, to consider for travel purposes. If you're heading anywhere between Pensacola and Tampa St. Pete, I would really rethink heading that direction. Likewise, anywhere between there on the Gulf Coast and Atlanta, that might be a little difficult, if not impossible, in the next 48 hours as that storm moves up. This is not a time to panic. I want to respond to anybody out there who's going to start complaining that we are hyping the weather. I've never enjoyed those accusations, and they are absolutely, completely, and totally 100% not true. And anybody who says that, you are 100% mistaken. It's your opinion, and you're welcome to it, but it is not true. We do not hype the weather. Weather gets bad enough as it is without wanting to make any more of it. Quoting Marvin the Paranoid Android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or paraphrasing him. This is something that we are trying to let you know about to help you stay safe. Hyping the weather, making it seem worse than it is, that's not what we do here. That's not who I am. It's never who I've been as a professional meteorologist. So we're trying to give you the information you need to stay safe. That's what we do, and we appreciate you tuning in here so we can bring you information like this on our weather blog, on air, online, wherever we are. That's what we try to do on there. To the kids at Brentwood Elementary School in Dalton, Georgia, I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to make it tomorrow. Again, as Dalton City schools are closed down, so we'll have to reschedule our visit that was on Thursday for another time. Chattanooga Christian School, I will be there on Friday. Right next door to the News 12 property. You can almost walk there from here. This is going to be, again, a little iffy to see if we have any changes in scheduling coming up. So if there's something out there that you need to schedule, please drop it to the News 12 website and make sure that everybody is aware of that. We'll have updates on the school information tonight on News 12 at 11, so stay tuned for that. Again, Chip Chapman, bright and early, 5 a.m., Thursday morning on the morning show. Stay tuned for more details on that. Live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onick. This has been the Peak of the Week Wednesday edition of News 12's exclusive video weather blog, Weather Overtime. Thanks for joining us for Wednesday night, and stay tuned for a lot more information coming your way about Helene and the forecast into the weekend on News 12 on Thursday.